Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome back to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame number 192, Doordash Delivery Girl Arrested, TikTok's Fave Detransitioner, and more. So we got a few things we're going to be talking about. One is an update on the situation with the DoorDash delivery girl that went viral for recording a naked man and then claiming that she was actually sexually assaulted by him. And
Mm.
that was like, well, we're gonna follow up on it. I covered it on the news show when it happened. I don't know, like a few weeks back, and there have been some updates.
Developments.
Yeah, some developments, and we also have a couple of videos to look at. I don't know how much time we can spend on them, but one is a video by a channel called Psycore, which basically it's entitled "Why Millions of Men Are Vanishing from Society and Why It Should Terrify You." Seems like a really obvious thing to say. And then we have one from Queer Kiwi called TikTok's Favorite Detransitioner, where she talks about uh, a man who has decided that he is in fact a man and wants to live as a man, and why she simultaneously has no problem with it, but also has a problem with it. So those
Mm.
are like, yeah, and those are our topics that we're going to be
Yeah.
covering today. So
Okay. All right. So if you would like to send us a message at any point throughout the show, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/just the tip. Very best way for you to send us a tip and a message with that tip if you so desire, because we get the full benefit of the funds and you don't have to send your comment through YouTube's infinite comment labyrinth of mystery and
yep.
hope that it pops out the other end. Hope that it meets a mythic, archetypal feminine weaver figure that will give you a thread. Okay. And if you would like to support the show, you can go to feedthebadger.com/support. Thank you very much to everybody who does support, because you make this possible 100%. And if you want to join our very generous supporters, please go to feedthebadger.com/support and do that. So those are the things to keep in mind. We also have a community at badgernation.online if you would like to chat with us or chat with other people who are involved in this. So that's badgernation.online. And yeah, let's get into the things. Let's
All
just get
right.
in.
So
Start without any further ado.
yes, without any further ado, so we have a follow up for the DoorDash situation. DoorDash delivery girl, you guys might remember. I have a clip here. Here's a little bit it's from October 20th, so about a month ago. This happened. This woman was making a delivery. She found a man naked.
I hope that's blurred, because otherwise we're going to be screwed in YouTube.
Hey guys,
Oh my
so
gosh!
DoorDash just deactivated me 2 days after I reported my sexual.
What is it? What?
Oh, I just realized you have shaved off your mustache.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it was bothering me. I'll let it grow
Oh,
back
okay.
in, but maybe a little bit more controlled. I got rid of the gold miner mustache. But it'll grow back, I'm sure. So don't
Okay.
sweat it. Okay.
All right.
Assault. Hey guys, I just lost my job, and they won't tell me why. They're supposed to send an email immediately after deactivation, providing you the reason why and a link to appeal, and they didn't. So I contacted support, and they made me sit on the phone with them for 50 minutes just to tell me that they can't tell me the reason why, and I have to just go ahead and appeal without knowing why.
Yeah. I wonder why they can't.
So yeah, I mean this goes on, but she claims
No,
that like
just a
essentially
few
she was sexually
sections of
assaulted
the.
by this guy, uh
Yeah.
claiming that he tricked her into approaching his open door and like that he would so he could like lay there pretending to be asleep with his junk out. Very elaborate.
Yeah, very
But
elaborate,
yeah,
very
that was the claim.
constructed. Can we just have a few seconds of how absolutely batshit she sounds? Like, you go a little bit further into that video and maybe expand it.
Which one?
Yeah, just avoid the junk, because YouTube will be like, No."
No,
But
no, I'm not gonna. Okay, so it just says here a man named Austin orders DoorDash. He's also doxing his name, by the way. Orders DoorDash. Selects the option to have the order left at the door. Sees his door dasher. Me has a female name. Falls asleep on the couch, which he puts in quotes because men never do anything like on accident or whatever. They don't
It's
fall
always
asleep
intentional
accidentally. It's always
evil.
predatory. With his pants and underwear down to his ankles and his front door wide open in 59-degree weather. So this is what I see when I have to leave the order.
And we're not going to show that because YouTube
No,
will kill us.
I'm not. It's
But
okay.
go about 30
then,
seconds beyond this.
So like what? Like right here?
Yeah,
like where
yes,
she's...
yeah, just right there.
I lost my job. That was my only way to make money to pay my bills. 3 days ago, October 12th, 2025, I was a victim of SA by a DoorDash customer while I was doing my job.
SA. Okay, well, first of all, this is by no means sexual assault. This could be considered exposure if it was intentional on his part. Like it could be indecent exposure, but it is not sexual assault. So right off the bat, massive exaggeration by this individual. Okay.
Well, I think they lost their job, and this is what I think is going on. She lost her job. She acted inappropriately. Maybe she thought it was funny. Maybe she couldn't pass it up as an opportunity to show something crazy on social media. Yeah, like expose some guy for being a perv or whatever. But she probably didn't think anything of it, and then did not realize she overstepped a boundary, lost her job, got really upset, and now she's like, okay, I gotta be the victim of this so that I can get a payout or something.
I don't think that's the timeline. I think she actually alleged sexual assault when it happened. I could be wrong, but I've heard that the timeline is that she started with the false accusation, and it is a false accusation.
It is.
Even if he planned all this, it's still indecent exposure. He didn't touch her. Assault actually requires some form of physical contact, and there was none. Okay, but let's do a little bit more.
Listen to the rest of this, or do you want me to get to the update?
I mean, it's not long, right? So we could just listen and respond.
Okay.
Excuse me if you've already seen this. This is my third time posting this.
I'm not going to share it if she's going to show it again.
Yeah.
Letting you know right now, my account is going to be banned. So I'm going to word this as chill as
possible
to avoid getting this video striked.
Just so that we clarify, she filmed this man naked, uploaded it to the internet with identifying details. Okay. And then she alleged that he engaged in a criminal activity that he categorically could not have done based on her own testimony. All right. And then DoorDash found out about this and they terminated her account, or they suspended her account, and then they terminated her account. And also the police got involved. So they took her statement, and when she uploaded this video, the police investigation was pending. Okay. So they hadn't figured anything out at that point. Right. And now she's continuing to dig the hole deeper, of course, because that's what you do when you've never had reason, you've never actually experienced consequences to your actions. So let's continue.
All right.
October 12th, 2025, the DoorDash customer requested that their order be left at their front door. When I arrived at their front door was wide open. Their lights were on, and they were sleeping on the couch within eyesight of the front door with their pants and underwear pulled down to their ankles, and they were indecently exposed to me.
Well, at least you got it right this time.
Video, and I'm not even going to be posting the video clip anymore because I'm pretty sure that's what's getting me the strikes.
You think?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are several problems with your video. Doxing. I mean, if we care about the situation for men, this could be a form of revenge porn because you found this man offensive. All right. And then you uploaded his naked body. And then the nudity. You might be getting a strike because you're uploading nudity. Okay. And you're also uploading a video against presumably the consent of the person in it. Because he's unconscious. How could he have consented to it? So there's a lot of reasons for this to be struck from Twitter. Or not Twitter. TikTok. The cesspit. Okay, let's keep going.
But yeah, I reported it to DoorDash. And DoorDash did ban the customer. And then 2 days later, DoorDash banned me.
Okay. So let's just the timeline.
Well, fired her, technically.
They took her word for it. right? She's talking about being discriminated against by the system, by the man. And the man first took her word for it. And then presumably they started looking into it and noticing that there was a lot of stuff that wasn't adding up. For example, I'm pretty sure Doordash has access to her GPS data and maybe even dash cams, who knows, right? But they realized something was not adding up. But their first instinct was to believe her and ban the customer. I want you to hold that in mind every time women come out with, oh, when we talk about our sexual assault, everything is against us. No, it wasn't. She immediately got what she wanted. It was immediately decided on her, on her side, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't good enough because apparently after some review, Doordash had concerns. They had some qualms. They had a few issues with the story that she was spinning. But let's continue.
I appealed and they were supposed to respond to my appeal within 7 to 10 business days. They didn't even provide me a reason for my deactivation. They're supposed to send an email. They didn't. So I contacted support and they told me to continue with my appeal without knowing a reason why. There's an option to select, don't know why I was deactivated, and then you still have to explain yourself. So I did. And within 12 hours afterward, they had already denied my appeal. So I'm really never getting my Doordash account back. Doordash deactivated me. Doordash punished me for exposing my assaulter, and TikTok is currently punishing me for exposing my story time. And this is the only justice I'm getting because I also reported this to the police, and the police are doing nothing.
And their first step, Doordash's first step, was to kick off what is looking like her victim, because of course she's a woman and her victim is a man. Well,
Yeah.
alleged victim, because she's just been arrested. Okay,
yes. Is that what we're gonna get to, the arrest, or do you want me to play
I'm
the
sorry.
rest of it?
Oh no, spoilers. Let's yeah. I mean, it's only a
Yeah.
few seconds left, right?
No, there's like another minute and 2 minutes almost of this video.
Okay. No, let's keep going. Let's watch her dig the hole completely.
But I have an update as of October 16th, 2025. But first and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for the overwhelming support and allyship that you've shown me. It's really making me feel so validated and seen and heard.
Yeah, I remember arguing with these freaking allies. I was like, this story has more
ally. It's allyship. It's not allyship.
Yeah.
This is the thing though. She doesn't like. She can just go to like forget like police and law and like suing companies and like losing her job. Just post on TikTok and she's probably going to get support. She probably did. That's why when she had that freak out because she thought, oh, I lost my job, I'm going to lose my money, but posted it online. So a bunch of people probably sent her money. I'm sure that she got plenty of support, probably got a job offer. And now she's like, oh, I guess I can just do this. And then when I face the consequences of my actions, I can go online, I can cry about it, and simps will come out of the woodwork and give me money. So I can just do this again. I mean, that's what I think anyway.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that she's sitting on a pile of cash.
Probably. Yep.
Okay, let's
all right.
Let's continue.
I just want to let you guys know I really appreciate the outpouring of support. So the update is, last night I was made aware, a bunch of people started commenting on my pages that Doordash made a public statement about me on their TikTok story and on their most recent Instagram post in the comment section. And I'm not going to speak too much further on details, but what I am going to say is I and the entire rest of the world found out why I lost my job at the exact same time.
Okay.
I didn't find out before you guys.
Well, maybe this is I mean, I don't know if we can trust what she's saying, but if Doordash didn't give her a reason, I mean, that's on them, but really that's like.
But they probably didn't give her a reason because they probably needed to investigate. So like they probably wanted to do their due diligence because they have to protect their interests as a company. And so they were like, okay, we're gonna ban both of them, fire her for like making this into a thing because again, freedom of association, they can fire whoever they want. And also, we're going to ban this guy for the same reasons. We don't know if he intentionally did this or not at this point in time. So he's banned as well. Again, freedom of association. You are not deserving of an employer, and you are also not deserving of a place to shop. Like, they can choose not to serve you. And I think that that's why they were basically doing the safe thing, but she's
Mhm.
going to she's turning it into a moral issue, a sexism
Yep.
issue
Of
instead.
course,
So,
because that's how you do. That's how you do
yeah.
if you're a modern woman. Okay, let's
All right.
Just letting you know this right now. The people that saw their public statements and made me aware that they made those public statements knew why I lost my job before I did. Because I went and I checked.
No, honestly, I think if you had searched your feelings, you would have known why you lost your job. If you had searched your feelings, no, not your feelings, because your feelings are ineffably corrupt. If you had searched what remains of your cognitive functions and gone through that day, you would have end your contract. You would have known why you were fired.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's keep going.
Public statements, and they sent me the deactivation email around the same time they released the public statements. Like literally with
Yeah, you know why? You're right, Brian. They were investigating her for crime.
Yeah, they were doing the right thing. They were investigating, because
You're
I'm
right.
sure that Doordash and Grubhub and Lyft and Uber Eats and all these companies, Amazon, they probably all have like situations like this that come up, and they probably are like, okay, we got to be delicate here, because if we get this wrong, this could be bad for our company. And so they just do. I think it's just a smart thing to do until you figure
Yep.
out what's going on.
Yep.
Sent me my deactivation email explaining my reason for being deactivated a whole 24 hours after they deactivated me, and a whole 24 hours after I already
Oh,
submitted.
so she's just trying to create victimhood out of this. But again, considering what she did and the seriousness of what she just did, you're right, Brian, they were probably investigating, and they were talking with their lawyers about how to respond to this.
Yes.
But they couldn't let her continue to victimize other people using their service.
Exactly. I think that what they did was the best thing, because well, basically it's like this. When this thing broke, we didn't really know who was to blame. A lot of
Mhm.
people like her, well, she knows what really happened because she was there, but
Yes, she
like
does.
the people who like were online exposed to this stuff and saw it, they had conclusions and they jumped to them. That, this was like, and a lot of them were basically like saying that the man, for whatever reason, did this on purpose to her,
Mhm.
and a lot of people were supporting it as a sexual assault, even
Oh,
though,
yes.
even if he did it on purpose, even if he was doing it purposefully, it's not sexual assault. It's indecent exposure at best,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
At worst. So, but and yeah, I mean, if you look at social media like it's a jury, then you're probably gonna be like on her side. But DoorDash did the smart thing, and that was,
Mhm.
well, we're gonna investigate, and then we'll act on that. And they probably didn't have a lot of women involved in the investigation. Not gonna lie, they probably had cops and lawyers and people that were looking at hard data and hard evidence, and they were like, no, this is not a sexual assault. Maybe inappropriate. We don't want, like, maybe he was drunk, maybe he was high, whatever. We don't know. But like, that's not appropriate. So we're gonna at least call it that, which I think is fair. But she was, if anything, less appropriate, I guess, because that's what it looked like the investigation resulted in. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Finish it off.
Hours after they had already denied my appeal, they finally sent me the email explaining why they fired me. So I and the rest of the world, we all found out why I lost my job together.
Oh, she's like making everybody her on her side.
Yeah, we're all in this
We're all in
together,
it
guys.
together. We're all okay,
That's right.
guys. We're all in it together. Are y'all gonna do time with her? Because yeah, if you just expand that screenshot there of her face and then the information beside it, yeah, go to the next one. So essentially, this is a arrest record for her, and she has been arrested for essentially probably disseminating material of a pornographic nature.
It says in the description here,
Okay.
dissemination of surveillance images and
Mhm.
unlawful surveillance.
Okay. So she this charge means that he was not visible to her unless she did something to make him visible to her, which means most likely she opened the door. And I actually sent a potential, because she when she first uploaded, she apparently uploaded, according to people who saw the first upload, which is like now in the annals of internet myth, she actually videotaped herself opening the door. And there's a screenshot that I sent Brian that shows that. I think it's a sliding door or something. I don't know. Maybe it's weird, different in the South. Who knows?
I got it right here.
Yeah. But based on the charges, she would have had to make an effort to put herself in a position to videotape him unlawfully. So that means that she did this via opening the door. There's no other way this could be unlawful surveillance. If he was actually visible to her from a public location, I don't think that qualifies as unlawful surveillance, right? That would qualify as indecent exposure. So she had to have done something to make him visible to her. She made an active choice. And the real question is that how often does she do this? How often does this woman open the clients of Doordash's houses when they have explicitly said, leave the food? And that's the other thing. He said, leave the food on the porch, right? How often does this woman actually engage in this kind of violation of others' privacy? Like, how is this the first time? One wonders, because the first time she ever does this, she finds something that she can use to create internet fame. Like, seriously, how did she know? And it's not looking like that, he was visible from the actual porch, unless she looked through the crack. In which case, why are you like, when you're dealing with this job, you're delivering stuff. Do DoorDashers usually spend time trying to spy on the people?
I think it's actually I've seen videos of like delivery people for DoorDash, Uber Eats, Amazon. They do sketchy shit.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if the standards for those places seem to be lower than they are for, say, UPS or FedEx or even like the US mail.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean I've seen sketchy things.
how
So
much
it doesn't really surprise me. This is why I don't do DoorDash. I mean, Lindsay and I don't really order in, but
it's probably
like I don't do
healthier for you,
DoorDash
right?
or Grubhub. What?
We don't order in because there's absolutely no
There's nothing
DoorDash
out
here.
there.
There's nothing out there.
Yeah.
We just cook up our beans and rice and over the trough, and just that's it. But
Yep.
but yeah, this just the question becomes, how much shady, disreputable shit has she done before this point? Because this is
Derek Workman said something I want to respond to really quick. He said,
Yeah.
I think it was him. Somebody said, "Oh, notice no one is actually trying to get his side of the story." Well, I think that the investigation likely involved them talking to
Yes.
him.
Yeah, I've heard.
But like he doesn't want to be online discussing this. I think that if anything, they probably could only have concluded by talking to the man in
Yeah.
question. But yeah, I mean he doesn't have an internet presence, and why should he? I think that this is like actually very, sensitive topic. So I
This
think they
is
did get his side of the
humiliating.
story, and I don't think it's anybody's business what that is. That they've basically gotten that done. So
This is humiliating. But what she's doing is humiliating. And honestly, if this was a world where women were treated like men in the justice system, I'm pretty sure she'd be facing a charge of disseminating pornography against his will.
Yeah, revenge porn. Yeah,
Revenge porn,
something like that.
And any kind of charges related to upskirting or illicit videotaping women for a lurid purpose, like anything like that. I'm pretty sure she'd be facing them too. As it is, she's getting a discount because she's only facing unlawful surveillance and distribution. And then, of course, Doordash, what did they do? They banned him. In fact, he probably only got redemption from this because she went to the cops a day after she posted this on the internet, as Night Cycle points out. Right? She went to the cops, and then the cops, once it got into the cops' notice, of course, they're going to take the investigation. And I've heard a rumor, I'm not sure if this is accurate, that he had a doorbell cam. And so the
Yeah, it was a ring camera. They got it. They got the photo of her.
Yeah.
Of her from the ring camera. Where is it? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So they have confirmation that she opened his door. But again, like this just raises even more questions for me. Has she done this before? And this behavior, let's be frank, it's interesting that she immediately went to sexual assault, right? They have this saying that thieves think everybody is a thief. Is this behavior a part of a pattern that she's engaged in? You know, this is sexually exploitative behavior. Like, she is a predator. Is this part of a pattern of alleged? I mean, it has to be proven, right? But if she's done this is predatory behavior. And my question is this the latest part of a pattern of predatory behavior that she's engaged in? Allegedly. I mean, it still has to be proven, right? She's arrested, which is really unusual. Let's face it.
Yeah,
and
it is unusual.
It also explains
maybe that's good. Maybe unusual is good. Maybe like we're starting to see some fairness.
Yes. Oh, did she have an update on being arrested?
No.
Okay, yeah, but you'll notice in this thread there are still idiots caping for her. Caping for her.
Oh, is like this woman probably. This is like 4 minutes long.
No, that's not. I don't think she's caping for her. There's a lot of women who are just tired of this shit. So
okay.
Just because it's a woman talking about it doesn't mean that she's caping for her. But there are a lot of men caping for her.
Yeah.
They are stuck. They are stuck. Yeah, that's a.
Hey guys, I just lost my job and they don't tell me why. Clown college.
Okay. Yeah,
all
this
right.
is.
I don't want to watch any of these because it might show the guy. So
yeah, don't. But let's shall we move on to the? I mean, this is.
Yeah.
Well, karma.
What do you want to move on to?
Like, honest. Well, it's not even karma; it's justice. And that's probably why she didn't want to go to the cops, because she knew, like, everybody was probably telling her to. And then she got high on her own farts and her own PR. And then she went to the cops, and that's what destroyed the narrative. And yeah, if this was just like if this was a big question mark, like the guy maybe presented himself and such, they wouldn't have arrested her. Right. This means that this is very one-sided, which means that there is some evidence somewhere that she did actually put herself in a position, violate his privacy, and put herself in a position to make unlawful video of him naked. Now think about that. Yeah. Let's just reverse the genders for a second. He put himself in a position to take unlawful video of her naked. What is the internet response to that? Is it this?
Yeah, I know. Well, look at Brock Turner.
Yeah. Well, he didn't do anything he didn't do anything that Amy Schumer didn't admit to in stand-up comedy. Okay,
or Cardi B.
Or Cardi B. Or Katy Perry. Although I don't know if
Katy Perry, yeah. Or stuff that people have actually done, like Jenny McCarthy. All right, but anyway. So what do you want to do next? Do you want to do the why millions of men are vanishing?
Sure. Did you get like the best possible?
Yeah, I got some time codes.
Yeah.
It's actually not that disagreeable. There's some things I'm not crazy about, but
yeah, we can go over the things you're not crazy about if you like.
Sure. I got like 5 time codes. Let's just get
Yeah.
I mean, we can get through them pretty quick, just so you
All
guys can
right.
get the sense of the video. So, okay,
It's
just a little
from.
bit of a warning. This is like the animation is AI. So,
Mhm.
if you hate that stuff, then just listen and don't look. There's nothing to see really.
We
There's no like
probably should
charts or
give him a
graphs or
shout out
anything.
too, right? It's
Yeah, shout out to
the
Psycore for making the video. I mean, I think ultimately it's a good video. There's some things, like I said, I have some nitpicks, but ultimately I think it's a good video, and I think that it's there's a lot more of these coming out. So
men's rights
Million.
autistic men's rights activist nitpick video, news at 11. I get
yeah, I
you're
mean,
not autistic.
I'm not tisming. It's just like,
No, I'm just
look,
don't worry.
I'm not going to say anything yet. I'll say it later.
American
Okay.
men in their prime working years have vanished from the workforce, not fired, not laid off. They just stopped showing up. And what's happening, because of it, should concern us all. This isn't about a few guys taking a break or early retirement. This is a mass exodus happening in real time. These men aren't protesting in the streets or making demands. They're doing something far more powerful. They're quietly subtracting themselves from the social math. And now, after decades of ignoring them, society is finally starting to panic. Because when millions of men disappear, the consequences don't stay invisible for long.
Oh no, they don't. Especially when they disappear from jobs that are particularly women are just not going to do because they're dangerous. They require a certain level of strength, and in particular, they require endurance of outside factors that women don't want. Like, for example, when electricity in my province, because it's very cold during the winter, and periodically things will break down, and it's not even anything weird's happening, right? It's not like a moose is stuck in the power lines, which has happened. It is just hoarfrost gathering on the lines, causing it to be weighted down and break. And men, and it's all men, almost exclusively men. I've never seen a female lineman. I don't even know if they exist. They have to go out in like weather where the wind chill is -50 and fix it. Right? And this is true about across the board for infrastructure. It's true for maintaining the track lines. It's true for maintaining the natural gas, the internet, everything. Like, these are really harsh physical conditions, and men go out and they face it. And for the most part, men are less, they tolerate harsh physical conditions a lot better than women do. They have more mass so they can stay warmer when it's colder. And, they have a thicker skin, they have more muscle mass, so they have a more robust constitution. And women don't want to go in these jobs because to women, they don't have enough of a surcharge, enough of like an increase in the amount that you get paid that justifies the sheer level of discomfort. Whereas men are more, I don't want to say they should be more conditioned or they're more exposable, but they just naturally have a stronger constitution. So the level of discomfort is less extreme to them than it is to a woman. And when men disappear, you're going to feel it first in those infrastructure jobs that will not, like, women will not go into them. They will not go into them. And and what's interesting is we've seen sort of a case study and we discussed it. Remember the bin strike in the
Yeah.
UK? Yeah, we're in
Yeah.
that one borough or whatever they call it, where garbage was piling up in the streets and there was rats all over the place. Maybe they'll start seeing the resurgence of the bubonic plague. The reason why that happened was because they started to pay women, and it was justified because these professions were majority women. So women who were cooking, women who were cleaning inside and doing caretaking roles, which were within, like they're in a air conditioned or a heated space. They're working with other people, so it's social. They're doing cooking, which can be gratifying in and of itself. They were started to pay them equivalent wages to men who were out in the streets hauling garbage, right? Getting garbage off the streets. So they decided to pay women equally. And the justification was because of the wage gap between two completely different occupations with completely different risk profiles and discomfort profiles, right? One is outdoors, one is indoors. And they said, well, the indoors one is majority women and they're not making as much as the outdoors one, which is majority male. So that must be sexism, herpaderp. So we're going to go pay the women the same amount. And the men were like, they stopped being able to have the money to pay the men, and the men went on strike. And now garbage is all over. And that's the issue. It's not just that women won't take these jobs. It's also that our society has convinced itself that the disparity in pay between a man who has to work a difficult job in the elements is sexism. So we're now not paying these jobs properly. Are we convinced ourselves we don't have to? And yeah, this quiet quitting is going to be hit there first, because you got the two pressures. Men are leaving, and the places where you're going to feel that most is those occupations that most rely on the type of labor that men represent. And then those occupations that most rely on the type of labor that men represent are in the political crosshairs of the wage gap people who want to reduce the wages offered men in these positions because they're majority, for no other reason than they're majority male and they're female majority occupations that earn less. It's absolute insanity, squeezing from both fronts. And people or men in these occupations are already signing the alarm that there aren't enough new young male applicants into the infrastructure jobs to continue to maintain them with the same level, well, the level that's required to maintain modern civilization. So 100% this is being felt, but you'll never hear it in like a New York Times article or a Guardian article. Okay, I'm done my rant.
All right. So now, okay, next time code.
Or I
Possible
can
to ignore. Section 2, the root causes. Why is this happening? So why is this great withdrawal happening right now? It wasn't one single thing, but a perfect storm created by three powerful forces hitting all at once: a massive economic shift, a jarring cultural whiplash, and a devastating psychological toll.
All right, I'm just pausing it there. He's going to go into those things in a second, and we can decide if we agree or not.
First, the economic tsunami. For most of the 20th century, a guy could graduate high school, get a union job at the local factory or in a skilled trade, and be pretty confident he could have a stable career and support a family. That deal has been taken apart piece by piece. The collapse of manufacturing from automation and outsourcing was a body blow to traditional male jobs. And these weren't just jobs, they were identities. They gave men respect and a steady paycheck. So what replaced them? For men without a college degree, the new jobs are often in the service sector or the gig economy, unstable, lower paying, and with few if any benefits. According to Economic Policy Institute analysis, real wages for men without a 4-year degree have fallen dramatically since the 1970s and 1980s. This isn't just about buying power, it's about the value of the work itself. When you feel like society...
We got to pause it because otherwise it's going to dominate the shorts. Well, yes, I would also argue that one of the things that's happened is that middle and lower class women no longer want middle and lower class men.
I think that's actually more important.
Yes.
Because I mean, if you like, you like the industrialization and the streamlining of those things is kind of an inevitability. But like that doesn't mean that we couldn't be preparing men for that shift, and we just didn't do that. I think education failed men. I think that women have also failed men because the assumption is that women are not going to like lower their standards or work with men at where they're at. They're just going to demand more, and men can't match that. And women have entered the workforce too. So I don't know.
Okay, well, let me just unpack that. Women lower their standards. By lower their standards, we mean actually make good on the whole I want a man as a companion.
Yeah.
Right? And learn what that means. Okay, and then the other thing is that women's standards were never in history, they were not this high. And really what that means is women expected more of themselves in the past in terms of productivity and developing resources and bringing that to the family, right? That was, and we still see this in traditional cultures, which is why traditional cultures have more female participation in STEM fields. They are expected to get a job that will earn for the family. And that used to be the attitude. Now, in the past, women would maybe earning for the family would be running a homestead or a farm, but there was still that attitude, right? And in the past, women did other jobs, like they would be household help, and their husband would be a sailor, and they would work together to afford a family. Okay, so that attitude that you are there as one half of the adults in the family is gone. You're not there to have a daddy butler. You're there to be the second adult in the family who pulls her weight financially and pulls her weight in terms of production, whatever that looks like. And through a good portion of American history, that would have looked like a homestead, right? And European history might have been a bit different. It might have looked more craft economy and that kind of stuff, or home-based businesses and stuff like that. But you were productive, and there was an expectation that you were productive as a woman, and that productivity got you access to a family, and to a husband and a family. And that expectation is gone because Hollywood created this new idea of the homemaker, the woman as consumer, right? That's completely artificial and new. It was never the case in history that women occupied a role like that. Nobody had the money to do it, to allow it. That's the thing. The 50s were the first time in the human race's history that a critical mass of people were so prosperous they could afford for a woman to sit at home and manage the home using mechanical labor, which are all of the appliances that were invented in the 50s, the 40s, the 50s, and the first half of the 20th century. That was the first time we were wealthy enough to give women that level of leisure, right? And Hollywood was behind turning. Hollywood and Madison Avenue were behind turning women from productive people who were expected to provide materially for their families to non-productive consumers who simply bought. They bought cans instead of canning. They bought prepackaged baking goods instead of baking from scratch. They bought produce from grocery stores instead of having small gardens and orchards and managing that. So it was a complete shift in the identity of women from producer to consumer. And then, of course, Betty Friedan called the resulting boredom the problem with no name. And then we were off to the races with feminism, like the most toxic iteration thereof, where the women blamed men for being bored. Okay, but again, like, women were never supposed to just add nothing to a relationship and nothing to a family. That was never the case in human history, except for a artificial modernist blip in the 1950s that was supported by, a bunch of like advertising men and women and Hollywood. Okay, so that you need to situate that. Now, as a result of that, there are generations of women who think they don't have to add anything to the family or a relationship with a man, right? They don't have to be productive in order to access a relationship with a man. They don't have to have a certain level of emotional control to be in a relationship. That's the other thing. You go back and you look at, like, women in the 50s and the 40s, they were poised, dignified, and they had a certain level of emotional control in public, right? They knew that they had to be strong, and that's gone too. So there's no expectation of emotional control, no expectation of provision on women, and there's no expectation of actually learning to understand men. And in particular, there's no expectation that women knock it the fuck off with their hatred of men. Like, honestly, a woman can expect a partner in a man who doesn't overtly hate her sex, right? And in fact, if there are pockets of men who even just blame women for the things that women are verifiably responsible for, everybody goes apeshit about all the misogynists and they have to be weeded out and whatever else. So a woman can expect a man who doesn't treat her sex with contempt And this whole narrative about feminism and masculine objectification of women, that doesn't hold water. It's not empirically sound. Men don't objectify women. In fact, men have the opposite problem. They subjectify everything. You leave a man alone and he'll subjectify a freaking washing machine. Like, this is human nature. We don't have a tendency towards reading people as objects. We have a tendency towards reading objects as people. That's almost like instinctive for us. So this whole feminist narrative around objectification, unscientifically sound balderdash. So no,
Yeah.
a woman the men can have that contempt for women. So a woman can expect a man not to have overt contempt for her. And yet, can a man expect the same? Can a man expect a woman who doesn't believe that he is by virtue of him being a man, by virtue of masculine ideology, he isn't the vector for sin into the world? No. All right. So when we're talking about women lowering their standards, what we mean is women need to raise their standards for themselves, raise their standards in terms of, I am a person who is going to be productive for my family. I am a person who is going to learn to control my emotions like an adult and not vomit them all over a relationship. I am a person who is going to learn to be grateful for having a partner, right? These are basic skills. These are the kind of skills that underpin being a decent partner. Period. Full stop. A decent, non-abusive partner. And that's too much. And then, and if you say these things, women will say, "Oh, you're being a misogynist, expecting me to reduce my standards." No, bitch. We're expecting you to increase your standards for yourself. Okay. Long rant. My apologies.
All right. Now so we're going into the labor thing. Okay.
No longer values your labor enough to pay you a living wage. Your motivation to even show up craters. It's not just that the job's left, it's that the promise society made to these men, work hard and you'll have a life of dignity, was broken. The second force is cultural whiplash. While the economy was transforming, so were our social rules. The rise of women in the workforce and in college is without a doubt one of the great success stories of our time.
Why?
See, there's where I'm nitpicking, because this guy is trying to have okay. I'll play some more. He does this a couple of times. I feel like it's him saying, please don't hate me because I'm advocating for men.
Yeah, that's the
Here's
problem.
me like kissing women's ass for a little while. And it's a very common thing. I see it all the time. It's a little annoying because it's like, like, I don't know, like, women are in the workforce and they have been for a while and they don't seem to be happy. So maybe that's not the great win you think it is.
Well, it's
Maybe
not the
this
source of.
claim, and again, women have always worked, so it's like even a silly thing to say, since women have been allowed to enter the workforce, it's kind of a stupid thing to say, but you hear it
Yeah.
all the time, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
So-
not made them happy because work is about providing, right?
Mhm.
For most people, they're not going to be happy with work. Work is just a way to provide for a family. It's the family that gives you the joy or the development of something, the building of something. And when women don't have that, they're not happy. Just like men aren't happy. What a surprise. But yeah, women have always worked, but in the past, they understood the work to be in service of a relationship and a family. So it became fulfilling that way. And now it's not. It's just in service of the self, except that is the most ridiculous framework of looking at work. I
Mhm.
serve myself through work. Well, okay. Well, work is often not fun. What happens then? You're just miserable.
It's the land acknowledgement. Doing the land acknowledgement that
Yeah.
Chris Williamson
Yeah.
talked about. Like,
Yeah.
okay, before I start talking about this, I want you to know I don't hate women. This is
And
something that
also,
we've been talking about forever too. It's like, no, stop. Just stop it. Just talk about men, please.
I've done an
Go ahead.
analysis, and the pattern of these things, including education, is always men develop some concept of an exchange. Could be an exchange of credit, could be exchange of goods, could be exchange of information. And the men build it up through their networks of a higher level of trust and willingness to allow other men to freedom of movement and thought. And we have statistics on men doing this. So they build it up through their networks. They take all the risks. They develop it to a point where it is participating in whatever that's being created. So it could be the credit network. It could be the educational network that had to be developed. It could be the exchange of goods throughout the world. It could be the space program. But you'll notice this is always the pattern. It could be settling the West in the US. This is always the pattern. The men take the risks. They build the infrastructure, whatever the infrastructure looks like. Sometimes it's homesteads, like dirt sod huts, or it's the ability to trust another man's credit, or it's simply the free exchange of ideas. If you're talking about the original education, like the university education systems, and whatever it is, they build up the infrastructure. They take the risks. They create the ballast. And then when participation in the system is slanted more towards benefit towards the person participating and less towards risk, women are onboarded every single time. Men build it, they make it stable and safe. Women are onboarded at the most reasonable speed that can be managed every single time. The vote, education, the university system, the credit system, space travel, the colonization of, the settling of the West. You'll see it over and over and over and over again. I want these people to understand this. Men create it, they take the risks, they establish the infrastructure, then women are onboarded at the speed that allows them to do so without damaging anything. Every single time. So when this guy says this is one of the great success, what are you talking about? This is literally the pattern of human endeavor. Okay, it's not a great. Well, I mean, it is a great success story. Like every other time it's been done, it's a great success story. Wow, men have taken a whole bunch of risks. They built a whole bunch of infrastructure, and now they're onboarding women because it's safe. Hallelujah, they've done it again. But he's not framing it like that. This is because I'm pretty sure you're right. It's land acknowledgement. It's just like, oh yeah, the feminists, they did this wonderful thing. We got to acknowledge it again.
Wow, that was a great move towards equality. Now we just need to do another balancing move for equality. You guys like equality. You was talking about it for 50 years, right? Let's do some more equality. I think that this would be like this. It's the reason why it annoys me is because the feminists don't care about equality. It's a lie. Like, why are you going along with this lie? Equality itself is a lie. Like, we're just not equal. I'm not equal to who I was a few years ago. Like, this is like a stupid goal to begin with, but like, I understand that people, when they say it, maybe they say, oh, I just mean fairness or I mean justice. I get that, but that's not equality. And that's the problem, is the language is all fucked up and it's putting people in a position where they have to work with these ideas in this way. And I just think that
I get what you're saying.
Equality as a concept is folly, because you end up trapped in this endless cycle, this endless dialectic of using the feminist standard of equality to try and make the case for men with people who don't actually want that thing that they claim they want. Like, they're just not being truthful. They're just lying to you, and you keep acting like they're not, or you keep acting like if you can just catch them in well, if you like equality, then haha, you'll have to go with this because this would make it equal. They're not going to listen. They're not going to, oh my God, you're right. I was wrong about that. That isn't equal. We're going to address that right away. They're not going to.
Well, we got to look at
what the point.
Okay. Well, I mean, holding the opposing party to their own standards is good practices, though, for debate.
Or just exposing things, sure.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying,
we also
don't do it thinking it's not a winning strategy, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so there's the different kinds of equality. Like, we've never attempted to have equality when it comes to the judicial response to men and women, right? And I would like to have that. I know that might never be possible, but it would be something that's worth striving for. Whereas the equality of everybody has the same education or pursues the same education, that's that's only going to create inequality in attempting to force an equality out of people's decisions, which is, which is what feminists are doing with the wage gap and the educational disbursements arguments. So, I mean, well, first of all, feminists don't actually pursue equality at all. They use it as a shield in order to hide their other activities. So yeah, we could probably, well, it's just strategy. I mean, you could say, well, let's convince everybody not to go for equality, or can we just convince people that feminists have never pursued equality and they don't? I mean, I guess it's just strategy.
We could go with one of those. I don't know. I think that treating equality as a goal, and without diverging too much, because I know we got a lot more to get through here. I think it's a trap, and I think that what ends up happening is if you say, well, I believe in equality of this type, what's going to happen is that like that's going to become the new standard that's turned into a double standard. Like you're not going to get anywhere, because they'll always figure out a way to make it to where women are not equal in this arena. And I think that if you just sort of like operate for the presumption that equality itself is a myth, even equality of opportunity, which a lot of people go, oh, well, I don't believe in equality of outcome, I believe in equality of opportunity. It's like, yeah, but when you make that claim, then people can say, well, are we doing equality of opportunity? Because based on the outcomes, it doesn't look like it, so something must be wrong. Like there's always a way for people to say, there's a thing that must be addressed because I don't like the way this is turning out. That's why the idea of equality of opportunity, for example, is a myth, because its success is measured by the outcomes, which means it is ultimately outcomes. Now, if you just had like, and that's why I prefer words like justice, because if we treated women and men the same under the law, I wouldn't call it equality. I would just call it justice. And there's still going to be hurdles with that too, because what we would have to do is deprogram the way that we view male victims and female perpetrators of crime or abuse or whatever. And I think that that's not something you can solve by using the right kinds of vocabulary to talk about it. You'll have to change the way people see men and women, and that's not going to happen overnight. It probably won't happen in my lifetime, but the story we just covered shows that there are people that are still capable of doing that, because that girl
to a degree,
did get arrested. So
yeah, well, I mean, when we're talking about equality, like equality has been the best way to actually engage with, I know this is going to sound a little bit odd, but engage with AIs to discredit feminism. Yeah. And it becomes like a way of stripping the cloak of the defensive cloak that women or feminists have hid themselves in. And the other thing is that when we say that we would like to see that men and women are seen more equally in the law, there would be, and I would say specifically conservatives, because they would, not all conservatives, but a subset, they would see that as, again, pushing for equality, which is wrong, so don't do it. However, those same conservatives still want to maintain the legal inequalities that, or sorry, the equalities that benefit women, is what I've noticed. So they don't want to create a legally inequitable system, or inequality, like an inequality like the Victorian inequality, even though it was balanced, like expectations, provisions, everything was balanced between the sexes, like responsibilities. They don't want to go back to that because they don't want to take away women's rights, but at the same time, they don't want to go forward with any kind of equality that would help men. But having said that, I will give like the right and conservatives big props, because they are pushing shared parenting finally. It used to be that conservative states had less of it, but now it seems to be that they're embracing it and that is a function of equality. They're embracing it as fairness and I suppose justice. Maybe it's not a function of equality. Maybe it's just a function of justice, but also it reduces divorce and makes everybody happy. Everybody, like even women in a shared custody situation, like a jurisdiction that applies shared custody, even women are happier. Go figure, huh? Okay, but anyway, we should probably finish this, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But this rapid change left a lot of men disoriented. The traditional male role of sole provider, which anchored male identity for centuries,
Again,
has been
no, it
shaken.
did not anchor.
That's not true. That's not
That's
true.
not
Again,
true.
yeah. It was not a thing.
It was not a thing. It was a thing very briefly. It's been a thing in a few eras of time, like maybe Victorian era. There was a point, but
But only like in the upper class though. Like
only in the
that's
upper class or the upper
yeah.
middle class, and only in times of great prosperity has this been a thing. And the
Yes.
problem is, if we're not in a time of great prosperity anymore, and women don't want to go back to their traditional role as one half of the adult couple in a family. I mean, really, that you could look at it that way. Women got a taste of complete indolence in the 50s. They went from a 12-hour a day, 6-day a week job, which was homesteading or the household, to a 3-hour a day, 5-day a week job, which is a homemaking with all of the modern appliances. And then they went through a wave of we're bored, give us jobs, give us education, and they got that. But the jobs and the education they got were the ones that were more desirable, which they locked the lower class men out of. And even lower class women locked lower class men out of. They got the more desirable jobs, the ones in air conditioned offices, the ones that were more creative or more sanitary or more thinky, the ones that brought prestige. So they got all those jobs. And now we're heading into a time where a lot of jobs are disappearing. A lot of the economy is not doing too well. So we're swinging back to two-partner necessity, right? And women haven't scaled their expectations according to the reality that exists today, which is you're not going to get a guy who earns more, right? This is in the past, this was the case too. Good providers were great, but a woman had to provide for herself as well. Right? Even in the hunter-gatherer, they were still gatherers, friends. They still had to provide for themselves, and women don't want to go back to that. They don't want to go back to being one half of the adult couple in a relationship. That's what I see. They want to
Yeah.
continue to do the singleton thing, which is very expensive, right? And it's even more expensive when they want to be single mothers. A single woman doesn't add as much to the tax base, but a single mother actively drains the tax base. So they don't want to do that because, they want to have this particular lifestyle, but the society that is underwriting that particular lifestyle is no longer rich enough to do so. And they're balking at going back to the responsible, traditional role of provider, stoic provider. I'm going to say it. Women in the past, they were stoic providers. They were expected to control their emotions. They weren't expected to fly off the handle and be lunatics. Might end up going to an insane asylum for hysteria if they did. They were expected to have their level of stoicism. They were expected to provide. They were expected to protect. They were expected to have all of these standards and virtues. And they were expected to, uphold a certain level of virtuous behavior. This was adulthood in the past. And now we are returning to that because we can no longer afford to have one half of the human race take and not give. And women are having trouble with that. Okay, but that's just going to keep, like, the world's just going to keep grinding down, getting harder. And soon the economy will no longer be able to underwrite women's singledom choices. And you're going to have to, by hook or by crook, you can get ahead of the wave. If you're a lady, you can get ahead of the wave and start developing those standards like gratitude, stoicism, a humble sense of providership for something bigger than yourself. You can start developing those adult qualities right now. You'll be ahead of the wave. And Right now, if you develop those adult qualities, the way that the dating market is structured, you can punch above your weight in the dating market if you're a woman who has developed those qualities. I mean, this is a one-time offer, ladies. One-time offer, right? Do it now. Or on the back end, you're going to be hit by the tsunami of everything increasing in price, singledom no longer being a thing you can do, but something that you're going to be forced into marriages. And men are going to be forced into them because you won't be able to survive economically as a single because it's too expensive. Right? So that's a thought. Anyway. I said a lot.
I got a rumble rant from Deadly Do Right. I should read.
Oh, okay.
He gave us $5 and says they also need to raise their standards to seeking men of character rather than just guys that are hot.
Well, of course.
Yeah, yes, we should ask that they be adults.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. It's the radical idea that women are adults. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna go to the next time code.
Oh, there's another time period where we could afford like that was rich women in antebellum South, like the ladies on the plantation. That was one time, and they had the same, like, ladies on the plantation. They had the same problems that women are having today, in terms of having to control their hypergamy. After the Civil War broke that, yeah, they had some issues. Because suddenly the men that they had to marry, if they even got one, were crackers rather than, landed non-gentry, because these weren't gentry. These weren't aristocrats. They just happened to be in a position where they got something. It was just like a little corner of history where some wealth accrued in a particular way, and they got to pretend to be landed gentry. But then it all crashed down, and the women had to learn to that nothing was given to them for free. So that was one point in time that we could probably compare to today was antebellum South, and all of the ladies of the antebellum South who had to learn that they were not going to get anything for free anymore. And they had to adjust to new economic circumstances. That's what's happening now to women today, and they aren't. Okay, let's keep going.
All right.
When this quiet crisis starts to boil over. Section 3, the domino effect, the consequences society ignores. The withdrawal of millions of men isn't a small problem that only affects them. It's a crack in the foundation that threatens to bring the whole building down. The consequences are now getting too big to ignore, and this is why the panic is starting to set in. We're seeing the fallout in two huge ways, in our economy and in our social fabric. First, the economic fallout. This is
I'm just pausing there. He's a little bit long-winded, so.
the panic is most obvious. We are facing a massive skilled labor shortage.
Okay, I think we already covered that. Maybe go to the next one.
All right.
Next time code, yeah.
Yeah, so he goes into real community impact, and then there's like his path forward. You want to just jump to the path forward?
Sure, let's hear it.
Okay.
Is this something that you had a concern with in terms of?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not. Yeah, I would just say like
I had a. Yeah.
It's sort of like that. Yeah. Well, let's see.
Section 5, empowerment, not blame. Charting a path forward. So where do we go from here? It's easy to get stuck playing the blame game. Blaming men for checking out, or blaming society for changing, is a dead end.
Oh wait, but we haven't blamed someone. Okay, so she says blaming men for checking out, blaming society. There's somebody we haven't blamed.
We shouldn't blame anybody. We should just we should just move forward. But that's not really my issue. I mean, of course he's gonna say that.
Yeah, of course he's gonna say that, and of course,
yeah.
Me being me, I'm gonna be like, but there's somebody you're missing. Somebody who could go in for a bit of blame. I love how I'm the only one who can do this. Like, well, and you, Brian. It was just like the two of us were like, this is the skill. This is the one skill that we possess that very few people seem to possess. Maybe people in AVFM, a voice for men. Maybe
Janice,
Karen,
Paul, Tom.
Yeah, yeah.
Hannah, Mike,
Janice, yeah, yeah,
Lauren.
yeah. We're like the mystery men
Yeah,
with this one mutant skill. And what is that one mutant skill that nobody on this planet possesses? I
yeah,
blame
exactly.
women. And I am perfectly happy blaming women, and I think we should blame women until we are as comfortable blaming women as we are men. There we go. My great
Mm-hmm.
mutant skill. I don't shoot lasers from my eyes, I just blame women. Okay.
All right.
Means we have to radically rethink our approach to masculinity, education, and work. First, we absolutely must fix the education and skills gap.
Okay,
The
here's the
constant
thing.
message that a
Okay, this is always treating the symptoms. How about this? Why don't we root out this ideologically dogma, like this supremacist dogma that has absolutely no empirical foundation? The supremacist dogma that blames men, and it is men because they have no plausible mechanism how men are all socialized to this, what they term masculine ideology, which essentially just means male privilege and patriarchy, right? The feminists have no plausible mechanism for how this is socialized. So it functions as a bioessentialist category that just means men. So we have a supremacist ideology, a eugenicist ideology, periodically comes out with some genocidal rhetoric that blames men for the existence of all sin. Okay? Right? And sin in this case is men benefiting themselves over women. So God forbid that a man decide to benefit himself over a woman. That's the great sin. But feminists blame men for that, despite the fact that it really isn't a sin. It's just a neutral. And they ascribe it to all men. Maybe we should kick that out of our society. Okay, and maybe some of this other stuff will resolve. Let's just stop doing that. Like if society is beating its head against the wall, a brick wall, and he's talking about, well, what we need is better bandages and headache medication and maybe some cushioning and some bolts in the skull when it gets fractured, and and surgical technology and x-ray technology so we can keep track of all the damages that society is doing as it's beating its head against a brick wall. And I'm like, have you considered no longer beating your head against a brick wall? Huh?
It's a thought.
Okay.
All right, let's play some more.
degree is the only ticket to success has failed millions of young men. We need to rebrand the skilled trades and vocational training, not as a consolation prize, but as a respectable, high-demand and financially smart career path. That means bringing back shop class.
All right, let me stop there for a second. Yeah, I know that you already addressed the fact that this is trying to just talk about the symptoms. I think that it's not really going to be hard to sell the trades to men. I think it's going to be hard to sell the trades as a viable career choice for that women will not mind their men like being involved with, right? So you have to make, because the problem is that women's status seeking behavior is the reason why the trades are like not seen as respectable. So he says make them respectable again. Yeah, but for who? For men or for women? What are we talking about here? I mean, obviously it's for women, right? Because if a man says, "Well, I'm on Wall Street," a woman's like, "Oh yeah, that's great," right? Even if that's like, like, I don't know, let's say unscrupulous practices are happening, it doesn't matter. That's a high status job. I'm a lawyer, high status. I'm a doctor, high status, right? I like those things. But if you say I'm a plumber or I'm an electrician or I'm working sanitation, that's less. I mean, even if it makes just as much or even more money, it doesn't matter because it's not high status. So I think that when you say we have to make these appealing, that you have to be specific. You have to say we need to make them appealing to women, but not to do the job, but to be fine with a man that does, because women are not going to do those jobs. And frankly, I don't think they should be doing those jobs. I think that there are jobs that, the average woman probably can't do. Like you were talking about those people that go out into the super, 50 below temperatures to fix the lines. There's no women there. It's probably for a reason. And I think if a woman was
Mhm.
there, it probably could make it harder for them to do their job. Just like women in the military, it probably make it like she'd probably get guys killed.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe not. I mean, that's what I mean by like my issues with equality, right? Well, why aren't women doing the hard jobs? Well, maybe they shouldn't be. Maybe they're too hard for them. Maybe they can't do those jobs.
Mhm.
And because we want the best people, and if the best people happen to be men, then that's just what it is. That's not inequality. That's just what it is. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Funding
Yeah.
vocational schools and creating real apprenticeship programs that lead directly to good jobs. Germany's dual education system, which combines classroom learning with paid apprenticeships, has youth unemployment rates far below ours.
there's a classroom of vampires. Like this AI stuff is really like, I mean, it's impressive, but it's also a little bit weird.
We can learn from that, investing in the skills our economy is screaming for. Welding, plumbing, electrical work, advanced manufacturing, HVAC, it gives men a straight line
Okay,
to a
this is
stable career and a
So again, when go back to what I was saying. See, like they're saying, well, look, there's all these jobs that men, that like they're basically just waiting for men to take them. Why aren't men taking them? Because why do men invest in career? Why do they get a job? Like I mean like a job that's going to be involve a lot of training and a lot of work, you know? Like a lot of men only do that because they're looking to attract a mate. So if
Mhm.
they don't think the women are worth it, then why wouldn't they just do like, some job that they don't have to like put too much into, work too hard at, just collect a paycheck and then like, pay for your own lifestyle, which of
Yeah.
course men can live with very little. So again, I think you're not asking the question.
Mhm. And the
I
other
don't know.
thing is that going into the trades is fine, but it's also not going to really solve the problem, which is we don't like I was talking about how men come together and they use these kind of cooperative networks that they create to construct like even the Knights Templar, they created like a network of pilgrims and protected them while they went to like on their pilgrimages, right? They create these networks. They use their cooperative relationship, which is now we see this in statistics on men's behavior, their tolerance for freedom of speech, their tolerance for each other's autonomy and that kind of stuff, and women's relative intolerance for that. Well, that is an incubator for new forms of exchange. And then the men build these new forms of exchange and they underpin, like this process underpins a healthy economy. So when you're saying, well, we'll just put all men into infrastructure jobs. Yeah, but wait, men being in business and more professional, I don't want to say professional, but, more thinky occupations enabled us to
Mhm.
have things like the internet, like binary data transmission, like credit card networks, right? If we pull back from men's education in these more abstract fields, we're basically saying we don't want to have, we're just giving up on the economic prosperity that these men create through this process that I described earlier, like the process of men constructing these cooperative networks, dealing with all the risks, like colonizing or sorry, settling the West, the space program, the credit networks, the university system, creating these things, stabilizing them, taking the risks, engaging in the cooperative activities, stabilizing them, and then these things provide so much economically to us. So we're going to just decide to stop doing that? Like that's I mean, it's not really a criticism of what he's saying. It's just like it's an extension if that makes sense. Like
Mhm.
yes, men should be encouraged to go more into the trades. They always were. What's stopping them now is that women have been encouraged and women are fast tracked, right? And women don't provide the same labor benefits that men do in the trades and in the infrastructure. They just don't. And and it turns men off to it would turn anyone off to watch a group that you're not a part of getting fast tracked in a profession that you want to be in. or giving special privileges in a profession that you want to excel at. So we got to deal with that. It's not just directing young men to trades and infrastructure. It's also recognizing that artificially boosting women who are going into the same fields is extremely off-putting and is going to reduce men's participation overall. And then the other thing is that this is only a stopgap measure. We got to get men back where they do their best work, which is in cooperative groups, establishing completely new things, resolving their risks, stabilizing them, adding them to the economy, right? And these little things these endeavors that men incubate that end up being gigantic. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if anybody I think I conveyed it. Did I?
Yeah, you did. You're fine.
Okay.
A renewed sense of competence. These aren't dead-end jobs. Skilled tradesmen can earn $60,000 or more annually, often without the crushing
Hold on. Doesn't he do? Yeah, I think it's like here.
father, a committed partner, or a pillar of the community, just as much as we value their paycheck. It means creating a culture where a man's worth isn't measured just by his salary, but by his character and his contribution to the world.
Yeah, that's just where women are falling down, right?
Yeah.
They are not.
Yeah, but he's not treating it like that. He's sort of turning this into like a critique on like late stage capitalism or something, instead of just like, no, it's not that, because there are people who are very poor who like raise a family and they stick together and they love each other. Like, so that's not, it's not that, but they can't help that. Like, there's this weird materialist thing that comes in.
That is
It's
one
like men are
weird.
more than their paycheck. It's like, yes, we know that, but women don't.
Yeah, many women
You
don't.
know?
Like this. That's the problem. What is with this weird? I
Tim
don't know. Like
Burton
no
thing.
dildo shield.
Where? Oh, that? I don't know. I think that's supposed to be like an arrow.
Is it?
I don't know.
The knob at the end does
AI
not.
slop.
AI slop. This is
Yeah.
a little weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
And
Like,
it's
what's
like
happening over here with this hammer thing? What is
yeah,
that?
no idea. It's morphing through this
Yeah.
like locket, heart locket.
Yeah.
Sorry, this AI is
Healthy
pretty
masculinity
pretty
looks like in
hilarious.
the 21st century. It's not about rejecting traditional masculine virtues like strength, courage, and responsibility. Those are valuable. It's about expanding the definition to include emotional intelligence,
Yeah,
vulnerability,
again,
and
it
adaptability.
always was. Good Lord,
Yeah, that was
people.
never a thing that we didn't do. That's what I'm saying. He's already, so like a lot of people who are trying to address this stuff, I know their heart's in the right place, but they're
Yeah,
already in the feminist paradigm.
yeah.
They're in that paradigm, and that's what
I
they're
should.
trying to critique it from the inside. That's why they're always doing the land acknowledgments. That's why they're saying we can have a new kind of masculinity that's not just about like force and power and status and competition and all of the toxic traits. It can also include like emotional intelligence. It's like, but that's always been the case. Like, men have always been more than just like muscles and money, you know? You're
Yes.
literally in the paradigm. You're in the cage and you're criticizing like, you know, with the paint job and the bars and like the stuff in your prison,
Okay,
you
I
know?
have a relevant graph that you could put up
Okay.
and we could discuss very briefly because I know we need to
Yeah.
move on. But this is I actually worked with Perplexity after I had to jailbreak the damn thing.
Mhm.
Out of the problem is that AI is tied to this. It basically prioritizes sociology stuff, which is almost all corrupt. But
Yeah,
I
for
got
sure.
it to look at some more recent data. So what's happened is in the science of narrative studies, so looking at like the history of storytelling, they've created a gigantic database, cross-reference database with tropes and motifs, and you can actually look at it now for how male and female characters were portrayed in the past and do large-scale analyses on it. So I got Perplexity to do that. And I asked how men were portrayed prior to in the 1950s and prior. And what it came back with is 50% or 56% of male characters in the 50s and prior were portrayed with full humanity. So they had an interior life, they had vulnerabilities, they had flaws, they had things they had to overcome, they had moral arcs, they had foibles, and they were also, they had heroic moments where they took action to help and protect and provide others, right? That was 56% of the portrayal. 23% was a little bit more flat, the more standard heroes. They didn't have as much interior life going on, but they were still heroic. They took action to help others. And this is like the standard adventure fare. I mean, even James Bond actually is more in full humanity, because if you look at the original stories, they talk about his vulnerabilities to some degree. I mean, he's still an action hero. And even like if you look at Goldfinger, like the way that he dealt with the conflict in that was in part seducing a woman. So that's more like the full humanity, and also war fiction of the time. Lots of exploration of the interior lives of soldiers and how they dealt with pain and violence and everything that went on. So yeah, in the 50s and prior, definitely depictions of fully human male characters with vulnerabilities and strengths. And then, about 23% was more the flatter, more like Dudley Do Right, perfect hero kind of thing. And then 12% were what I termed genuine critiques. So you'd have a spectrum of men embodying different levels of morality. So you'd have villains, you would have somewhere in the middle, maybe anti-heroes, and then you'd have like the shining noble hero that you lived up to. And then 10% was plot, and 2% was stereotype, like gross stereotype, like just villains or absent or fools. Now, today, humanity has shrunk from 56% to 6%. Right. So when you're talking about we need these new male role models that integrate men's full humanity, look to the past, because there they were. And then something happened between the 60s and today that caused everything to shift. So now the men who are portrayed in fiction, only 6% of them are fully human. That is, strengths and weaknesses, foibles, everything. 12% are plot devices. We got 12% that could be seen as like a critique of masculinity, but it has a range of men who embody different levels of morality, from the villain to the anti-hero to the noble hero, right? And then we got our 72% of stereotype male characters. So it went from 2% to 72%. Gross stereotypes. So men as villains, men as absent, men as fools, men as useless, men as worthless, men as fallen, men as deplorable and degraded, men as the absolute worst of humanity, right? That's what it's gone from 2% to 72%. And men as human beings has gone from 56%, which I mean is a slight undercut, because you could probably say that the critical and the heroic were also representing men as human, but men as explicitly human has gone from 56% to 6. That's what's happened. And this guy is saying we need to develop some new. Why don't we just go back a bit? Like I said with women, we don't necessarily need that. Actually, what's happening is women, we're going back because we don't have the economic power we did. We're going back to older identities for women as protector, stoic, provider, right? Now women have to go back to their identities of responsibility, and they're not liking it. And now we're looking at this, and maybe we could go back to men's identities of full humanity and start to abandon all this horrific stereotyping of men, which is, what a surprise. We'd stereotype men horrifically under the influence of a supremacist ideology. Like, because media is overwhelmingly pushing a feminist framework. They're overwhelmingly pushing it all across media, novels, Hollywood, TV, everywhere. They're pushing this male blame framework. And that's what caused this. That's what caused horrible stereotypes of men to go from 2% to 72%. Okay. Maybe we could just rein that in. All right.
All right.
Okay.
So I think that's
Next
it
one?
for that one. Do you want to do the other video or no?
Sure.
It's like
Sure, let's do the other one.
6:30. Okay. Let me see. No new super chats or super chows or anything like that. So
Oh, guys, get those super chows in. We're saying interesting stuff. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Get them in. Get them in. Because I think this is really interesting. I want to hear your thoughts. And I don't want to have to just sift through like the needle haystack, the haystack that is the chat, or alternatively, the needle stack that is the special chat.
yeah. All right. So the next this one is Queer Kiwi, and she has a problem with a detransitioner. So born a man, thought he was a woman, started to transition, changed his mind, and worst of all, came to Jesus. So that's a no-no. But made videos about their journey, from I guess like as a trans person, but then moving away from that. And Queer Kiwi has thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. I'm gonna go to the first time code where she gives a critique of rigid gender boxes, because that's where this is going. So let me see. Here's the person making their video about it.
That he used to make and the things that he used to say. So you kind of know what the starting point of all of this was. Okay.
I know nothing about what it means to be a woman. And despite me being trans and a trans identifying person, I'm okay with that. And I absolutely hate seeing trans identifying males, seeing people who claim to know so much about the gender that they're not. Like, speaking from experience,
Okay, I'm pausing
Okay.
there.
I literally know
Um,
nothing about women. That's okay. No, women don't know nothing about women either. Or at least they deny most of it.
Yeah, it's a weird paradigm to be in, because essentially they're like he wants to live as a woman, but and this is supposed to, like, according to the queer theorists, um there is no like gender is a social construct, and yet he's trying to figure out how to live as a woman, so he's trying to like get all the parts of the construct together, and he doesn't like that other people are pretending to know. So it's just kind of like a rabbit hole of postmodern gobbledygook. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I took steps to look like and appear as a woman in society. But when it comes to womanhood and girlhood, I know nothing. And I never will. And that's okay. Like, whatever goes on in a woman's head and a woman's body and all of that, like, that is all just a complete anomaly to me. And
I'm really curious how this individual Queer Kiwi is going to respond to that. I think it's Queer Kiwi, right? Rainbow Stripe.
Kiwi, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
it always will be. I mean, I appreciate
Oh,
it.
there was something I wanted to show you before. I'll do it after this time code. There's something I
Okay,
want to
yeah.
go back to the sponsor of our
I
video.
really
because
want
holy
to
shit.
know. I really want to know
All right.
how Queer Kiwi responds to this.
She's going to right now.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's beautiful, but I'll know nothing about it. And I'm okay with that.
And I just, it's so frustrating because, like, that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. This is
Really?
very boxy, right?
Okay.
She's saying
So
it's
if-
very this is a box. You can't put women in a box.
Okay. Well, or
Can't
you
put baby
can't
in a
put women in
corner.
a box, but what about?
Well, let's let her make her case.
Okay.
That's very, you have to meet these requirements to be a woman. You have to meet these requirements to be a man. If you do not check all these boxes, then you are this or that. We are all different. And I'm sure when
Oh,
it's
really?
already in the past.
We're
Yeah.
all different, but men definitely oppress women. What a bunch of bullshit. We're all different, except how my ideology has defined men and women to suit itself. That's sacrosanct. That's sacrosanct. Can't question that, because to question that would be misogyny. And we have to care
Yep.
about misogyny more than misandry, because we're all different. We're all unique. We're all special snowflakes. But some of us are more special than others. Some of us are more delicate than others. Some of us,
That's right.
our feelings need to be considered more deeply than others. You know, but there's no boxes here, except that men oppress women. Thus, you know, men are in the box oppressor and women are in the box oppressed. But there's no boxes. Is that the totality of our response?
I mean, basically, but I'll come back to that in a second. I want to show you the sponsor of this because it's wild.
You know, here we are, can't complain too much. The thing I opened it to was someone who had a very familiar face. It is someone who has featured in a video way back that I had almost completely forgotten about. I really have to give an update on how they are doing. Before
So basically, this is I guess she did a response video to this detransitioner in the past.
And where's the sponsorship?
All right, here we go. Here's the sponsor.
I do get into it, I wanted to let you all know that today I have partnered up with my friends at Belisar to send and gift cards.
Oh no, every
signs up to
single
my giveaway using the link.
Okay, so
What?
this is vibrators. Okay, it's
So
starting
you
to
know
be a
this company?
Yes, because I've watched other female creators.
She caught me off guard. I didn't know what it was until she pulled it out and showed it to you on screen.
Okay,
And I just want to say, this is what the YouTube algorithm supports. She has like, what, like 200,000 subscribers, some crazy number.
Yep.
I'm sorry, 489,000 subscribers.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay,
and this
so
is perfectly advertiser friendly.
For women. This is a woman thing. Okay, but let's take a look.
The description. Belisar is a company by women for all things sexual wellness and empowerment. They have such a wide range of toys that are suitable for any body. They have some really unique toys as well, such as one of their newest additions, Grind. This is a grind pad which is engineered to transform your movement into pure.
Okay, enough. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is something I have noticed.
But here's the thing that's interesting, Allison. So, do you think that intersectional feminist queer content like queer theory, does that bring men and women closer together or further apart? And if it does bring them further apart, isn't that also a unique opportunity to sell lonely women who don't like men something that they could use as a supplement for
Of course.
This is like, it's kind of grooming-ish, isn't it? It's kind of groomy to me. It's like there's something creepy and predatory about this, in my opinion. But
it's manipulative. Yeah. And so they sell the disease and the cure, which is disgusting. Well, okay, let me put it this way. This isn't disgusting, but this does not belong on a video in YouTube. If our channel gets hit by for doing things like showing a man being sexually assaulted in order to raise awareness of that activity. It's not like a situation where we're showing anything. It's that something happened in public that's not being recognized for what it is, and we're saying this is sexual assault, right? And then YouTube hits us for that. But this is fine. Sexual toys for women is fine. And I'm pretty sure that sexual toys for men is not fine. That there's going to be some serious advertiser blowback for doing that for men. I could be wrong, but I have a suspicion. But yes, it also is like, you know, she sells women's distaste for men, and then she sells sexual aids for women who can't get a sexual partner or don't want a sexual partner. And what's actually really funny is that Richard Bier, who suggested this, and this, I guess this, I think he's finding these patterns, which is interesting. He also suggested a Russian sci-fi comedy called No Man's Zone. It sort of ended up being a sci-fi comedy with a little bit of a drama, which was about a society of women separate from men and its eventual inclusion with a society that was integrated. And part of the society of women is they would constantly stop things to do advertisements for vibrators. And I'm like,
Mhm.
holy crap. The Russians really have their finger on the pulse of Western feminism somehow.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that people are going to accuse me of being like a Russian plant now. I'm not. Um, I shouldn't have even said that because now people are going to be like, that's proof. She's denied it. But yeah, that's that I find that so hilarious because they got that 100% accurate. Well, they got a lot 100% accurate. But this persistent, like they would be mind wiping someone as a punishment for being antisocial, and the person being mind wiped, and then they would like show their hallucinations as like entertainment, and then the person being mind wiped would stop and be like, and this is the Lily of the Valley 2000, which is coming out in blah 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 blah. It was really, but yeah, this is embarrassing. Like once you're selling vibrators, I think your content is a joke. And this is not appropriate content for anything serious. Like literally, ladies, can you go an entire political podcast without thinking about flicking the bean? Like nobody is like, this is not like, why would you put this content in a political podcast? I mean, obviously, Brian, you hit it ahead on the nail, or the nail on the head, when you said, they're manufacturing the very user base for their product.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
it's going to
what
it's
an
very useful
embarrassment.
because you basically like create the problem, or you create the problem and then sell a panacea, like a sugar pill to the people. So it's just interesting to me. But okay. So let's get into this bit here.
I digress. There is not inherently anything wrong with detransitioning, right? Like people are constantly learning and changing and growing and figuring out more things about themselves. And I know that there are some people who transition and then they detransition and just carry on with life like that, right? Like it.
I think
Okay.
I just want to say, I think you have to say this, even if you don't really believe it, because it's just, again, because this ideology is inherently agreeable, you have to say, I don't have a problem with people doing this, but there's always going to be a but after that. And the problem with this kind of like laissez-faire attitude towards this is that not everyone, a lot of people who transition are taking steps that can't be reversed, while being told that they can be, by the way, which is a lie. And so, but the thing is, this person the people like Queer Kiwi that recommend these drastic steps, they don't ever have to take responsibility for people making decisions based on their claims. So they
Yep.
never live with the consequence of that. Instead, they just get to say, "Well, I'm okay with you detransitioning." And we're talking about, there's people who have like done irreversible things to themselves, and they're like, I regret this. And people like this will be like, well, I don't have a problem with you doing that, just don't go selling it to everybody else. And this is like what she's going to say. I'm sorry for burying the lead there, but anyway.
Yeah.
Obviously a bit like frustrating. I can't put myself in the shoes of someone who is trans or a detransitioner, but I also know that detransitioners are in the minority and there is no problem with detransitioners existing. However, there is a problem with detransitioners who then turn around and make their entire thing talking about how being trans is bad, they regret it, everyone will regret it, and actively campaigning against transness, trans rights, people being trans, and like having access to gender affirming care, etc.
You can regret your choice, but do it silently.
Yeah, you can have your regrets, but don't tell anybody about it. Let other people fall into this same pattern. And, like if they, and that's the thing, like this is about control. And she'll say they're in the minority, even though we don't really know how many people, firstly, How many people have regrets? How many people take like, extreme measures? Because like if you, let's say you just started cross-dressing and thought that you were non-binary or larped it because it's sort of a social contagion like in your school or on your campus, and then you like sort of wake up and you're like, well, what am I doing? Like, this is ridiculous, and you stop doing it. Then you've done nothing, you haven't invested in anything, so you don't really have much of a stake in the outcome. You just basically, it's a regrettable part of your youth and you move on. But what about the people like Jazz Jennings who, like, their parents were behind it 100%, and they, like, especially the mom, and she, you know, basically castrates her son and puts him on all kinds of meds, and they get a reality show, and it basically encourages them to take it further and further. And it still remains to see if that's going to completely implode, which I think it will one day, because I don't think these things are sustainable. And I'm happy to be wrong. I'd like to be, but I don't think I am. And then that person, Jazz Jennings, who has a massive profile, comes out and says, you know what? I regret everything. I don't think this is a good idea. Here are my thoughts. Here's what I went through. Here's all of my experience. And then people like Queer Creepy, like, you can't do that. You have to be quiet and just keep it to yourself. And in particular, I think it's interesting because this is a male to female.
Mhm.
I don't know if, like, female to male. I know that number is going up, but
Mhm.
I don't know that there would be that much pushback on a female to male,
Mhm. Mm.
So
Couldn't tell you. Well, I mean, probably, well, it'll always be interpreted through their ideology, right?
yeah, yeah. Um, okay. But anyway, let me see. So that was that. So yeah, if you're trans and you regret it, it's fine. Just don't tell anybody.
Mhm.
Let's go to, oh yeah, here's a good one. 931. This is a good one. This is a typical take that you would get from a feminist.
You cannot say you don't understand womanhood as a whole, but you understand like manhood better when you aren't a man, or you were not living as a man, presenting as a man. No one perceived you as a man, so you weren't treated that way. You were treated as a woman. So thus you do understand womanhood because you
So
were
womanhood is just
a woman.
an experience of being acted upon? Okay.
Is that what she's saying?
I don't know. Like, let's
She's saying that this guy, this detransitioner, is saying, you know what, I'm actually a man, and I'm gonna live as a man because that's what I was born as. And he was trying to live as a woman for, well, I guess, a while. I don't know how long. And then said, you know what, I don't really get it. It's not working. And what Queer Kiwi is saying is, but you LARPed as a woman for a while, so how can you claim to just be a man, even though you've never actually lived as a man, even though biologically he is a man?
Well,
But
presumably he lived
she's
as a
claiming he
man.
didn't live the man life. So
Okay,
how can he,
actually,
like,
let's
know
go
what it
back and
means?
listen to her whole thing, because
All right, all right.
I am somewhat baffled here.
If you are perceived as a woman, then you experience the patriarchy like a woman does, with an
Okay,
added
so
layer.
pause. Okay, right here, guys. Admission is right here. Women are victims. The womanhood experience is oppression. That is the experience of it. To know being a woman is to know being oppressed and a victim. That is the full scope of womanhood, right? Okay, well, maybe not the full scope, but it's the central pillar. Okay, but we're not putting people in boxes. And also, it's interesting because this, radical trans activists hear this, and they turn around and they say to trans exclusive radical feminists, you're holding on to your oppression as a marker. And Rainbow Bright, Queer Kiwi, right here, is demonstrating exactly what they're talking about. What is the marker of womanhood? Well, it's oppression. And we're not putting things into boxes, guys. We're just saying that throughout all of human history, women have been in the box oppressed and men have been in the box oppressor. But those aren't real boxes. They're just the truth. And because they're the truth, you can't call them boxes or a binary.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's keep going.
All right.
With an added layer of prejudice and bigotry. Like, you are experiencing misogyny and life as a woman, and then also a bit more. You cannot say you don't understand womanhood as a whole, but you understand like manhood better when
Okay,
you
stop. All right,
understand,
stop.
or you
Okay, so you're experiencing the experience of victimhood, which is womanhood. Like, how do women enjoy this content? Like, how do you enjoy? Oh, your experience of womanhood is victimhood, and because you're a trans woman, it's victimhood plus, like a little bit extra. That's your life. Say goodbye to your prefrontal cortex. You don't need that because you're a victim. Like, this is why I call them the soft the lobotomy sisters, because this is what they're encouraging in women, to constantly view themselves through the lens of victimhood. And of course, if you say that doesn't sound like it's supported, it's not scientifically supported, they call you a misogynist. So they don't even know if this is justified. They can't even prove that this is justified to themselves. They can't even think about whether or not it's justified. They just live it. They live their true belief that they're a victim because they're a woman. And if you're a trans woman, you're a victim plus, because you got a little extra. And that, incidentally, is the real dichotomy. People who can be victims versus those who cannot, which are men, functionally cannot be victims. Let's be honest. I mean, feminists will say, oh yeah, it's possible for a man to experience domestic violence, but it's only because a woman has internalized patriarchy and he has actually, invited it upon himself. It's still his fault. So he's not really a victim, because, if he hadn't constructed the patriarchy, maybe his abusive wife wouldn't have internalized it so much and punched him in the face there, that kind of thing. So that is the real dichotomy here. Women are victim, men are not. And I don't understand why this is why I'm weird, I guess. I don't understand why a woman can sit there and listen to this and be, yep, that's wonderful. I just love feeling like I'm a victim. I just love being defined by how I'm acted upon by men. I just love being like a sand painting that men are inscribing. I love being a blank slate that men inscribe their actions on. I just love it. Like, are you fucking mental? Like, this is the big break between me and women. Are you fucking, why? Why do you do this? Why is this attractive? Like, why is that? It's like hating your arms and legs.
Well, it's not supposed to make women feel good about themselves. It's because this is really just her saying, why would you want to be a man? That's all. That's like ultimately all she's saying. Like,
Are you
it's
sure
not.
about that? Or
Yeah.
why would this trans
Why
man,
would no? It's like this. It's like, it's not overt. It's like discouraging. Like, oh well, how could, like, it's sort of like it's trying to cause
yeah, I know
the
this
man
in
to
the negative
question
space.
himself as a man. Like, why would you've already lived as a woman and you were a victim of patriarchy and transphobia. Like, why would you, why would you want to be a man? Are you sure you're a man? How do you know what that is? You dealt with patriarchy and transphobia. How would you know what it's like to be a man? Like, it's
I see.
questioning
So
the fundamental thing that's being challenged by the detransitioner.
because he has experienced victimhood, he can no longer be a man.
He probably didn't like being treated like a victim.
Yeah, and consider them okay. But seriously, maybe that's what you mean, and what she means, because he's
Yeah,
now
maybe.
experienced the victimhood of femininity. He can no longer really be a man. He is now claimed by the victimhood blob. It's like,
Mhm.
no, you can't cease seeing yourself as a victim. Okay, let's continue.
All right.
were not living as a man, presenting as a man. No one perceived you as a man. So you weren't
Presumably
treated
they
that way.
did
You were treated-
prior to his transition, though, right?
What?
Okay, is she just
Presumably he was a
deepening her
man
argument?
before. But I don't know how long he lived as a man
I guess
before he decided.
isn't relevant because she's saying that for this period of time, he was not perceived as a man. He lived as a
Yes.
woman. He experienced patriarchy, patriarchal victimization. Therefore, he is now has the female experience. Because having children, not the female experience, like the female half of having, not the female experience.
Yes.
Unique cognitive functions, like having more peripheral vision, having keener sense of smell, more dexterous in your fingers. That's not a female experience,
Yeah.
right? Having a lower center of body mass, not a female experience. No, it's just victimhood, guys.
Yep. I got a super chow from Albatross for $5, and he didn't say anything. So I don't know if if he meant to say something or what, but
He
send us
probably is just
just put a
shutting me up.
comment in the chat and tag Badger live streams, tag it, and let us know if you meant to say something else.
What is your commentary?
Yeah, what is your commentary? Or you're just giving us $5. That's fine too, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
As a woman, so thus you do understand womanhood because you were a woman. You were perceived as a woman. You were living as a woman.
No. She
That's
paused
really
there.
all it's-
She didn't give any other additional details aside you were a victim of patriarchy as a woman.
Yes. Right.
Like, so that's the essence. Now, I know that she's saying, how could you become a man? I think. No, I think she's just directly.
No, I think it's shameful to want to live as a man, though.
Well, of course it's shameful, but I think
Yeah.
what she's doing right here, it's not related to the shame of wanting to be a man. It is related to him specifically saying he doesn't have access to the female experience, right?
Mhm.
That's what he said. And then she's saying, no, you do, because you lived as a woman and you experienced patriarchal oppression. Therefore, you have access to all the female experience that matters, fundamentally. So basically, she's part of the feminist framework that if a man becomes a woman and experiences patriarchal oppression, that's all that's needed for him to thus become a woman. That's it. It's like the initiation ritual for womanhood. You run through the coals of patriarchal oppression, and now you are a woman. You are a woman. I think that's what she means. And I know in the negative, it actually makes it really awful to be a man because basically you're just a harm for women. But I don't think that's what she's saying right now. It's true, like that's another effect, but I don't think that's the point of what she's saying. That's my own opinion. You could listen to more.
All right. Mm-hmm.
By saying that you don't understand womanhood because you are perceived as a woman, but you don't have the brain of a woman, when firstly, trans women do have the brains of women because they are women. And what you don't have the biology of a woman, you don't have like female anatomy, so you don't menstruate. Not even all cis women menstruate.
Okay, so this is gaslighting. So she's working from reverse logic. She's like doing inverted logic, like, oh, you have a brain of a woman because you are a woman, therefore you have the brain of a woman. So now she's telling him, actually, you're not a man, you're a woman.
Yeah, you're right. Now she's going into you're actually a woman now, and brain of a woman. So if you say you're a woman, you now have the brain of a woman. It doesn't matter what the specific structures of your brain are. You now have the brain of a woman because you say you're a woman.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay.
So I can play some more, I guess, of this.
Sure.
I don't think
We all have different hormone levels. We all have different thought patterns, and like our bodies. And
wait. So we all have different thought patterns. We all have different hormone levels. We all have different biologies, but we are all connected. See what she's saying? We are all connected by patriarchal oppression. That's what makes womanhood. And then the TERFs wonder why their trans activists say, the only thing you're attaching to for womanhood is patriarchal oppression. What makes you oppressed by men? Well, that's right here. That's what she's doing. There's all kinds of womanhood. And even womanhood can even be manhood. I mean, if the man identifies as a woman, but it all has the same thing, which is that you are oppressed by men. If you are oppressed by men, you are a woman. That's what she's saying. Right there.
Right. Right. Sure. Yeah. Of course. Well, I think the problem is too is that it's bad for the brand if someone detransitions and then says, you know what, I didn't like this victimhood thing. I don't want to live. I don't think it applied to me. I don't think we should be celebrating this. And that's kind of like, I mean, I don't want to call it uniquely masculine, but it's kind of a masculine thing to do. So he's actually behaving like a man by rejecting this casting of victim. And I think that's bad for the feminist brand because they
Mhm.
have it's like what they sell. So you're basically saying this product doesn't work. And they're like, no, like it has to work. It's you're the problem. So let
Yeah.
he this is another video. We saw the clip from
It's
before
interesting, but you're right.
when this person was still living as a woman. We saw that clip. This is them when
Okay,
this
before we
man
get
said,
into
look,
it, I
I'm a
just
man
want to,
now.
okay, you'll have to reintroduce that, but because I really wanted to get in on one of this. You're right. He is basically saying victimhood did not make me a woman.
Yeah.
Something else did. And they can't say that because women have to be made through the feminist framework. Like feminism has to own how women identify and also how men identify. So if this guy says, well, the way that feminists arranged the genders did not apply to me. I mean, he has the most authority to say that, really, because he's been through the whole process. And he's like, nope, that didn't apply. They're wrong. You're right. They have to control the brand, they have to control the damage to the brand that this man presents.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So here's him with a follow-up video where he basically explains his how he woke up from gender dysphoria and started loving himself for
From
who he
gender
is.
dysphoria and started loving myself as a man.
Hello.
Okay. Before we get into this, and I do want to see it, but isn't it interesting that this is what this detransitioner is upsetting her, or not upsetting her? She focused on him. Well, maybe it isn't, but he has found a way to love himself as a man. You're not allowed
Yes.
to do that, dude. Feminists don't let you do that. Like that's
No.
not acceptable. This literally is anti-feminism. Prepare to be called the manosphere, dude.
Yep. You're the manosphere now. Welcome.
Yeah. Because
I'm so happy to be starting my official YouTube account and showcasing my journey from being a trans woman to being a happy man and accepting myself as a man. But first, I want to get into gender dysphoria and how it.
All right. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. He basically says, it's unique because it's like we're celebrating a mental illness as opposed to he's like you wouldn't do that for like bulimia or anorexia or whatever or depression. And that I mean that's fair. So I'm going to jump to cuz I mean we've gone for 2 hours now and I want to eat, but let me see if I can find another time code. Well, let me jump to her reaction to this, okay?
Celebrate them.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you right there.
Okay, so wait. I want a clarification. So he said we don't celebrate men, I'm guessing.
No, he's saying we don't celebrate gender. We shouldn't celebrate
Well, we
gender
shouldn't
dysphoria.
celebrate. Oh, okay. All
We
right.
do celebrate gender dysphoria, but in a way, he is saying because he just wants to live as a man. And the thing is, if you say I'm trans, especially if you're a man, you say you're trans, then you get like put on a pedestal because you are like, I don't know, shattering the gender binary or something, the patriarchy at the same time. But if you say, you know what, I just want to live as a man, then it's like ugh, add it to the
Yeah.
icklet. So there is
Well,
like
especially.
yeah, absolutely.
Especially. Yeah, and especially if you say I learned to love myself as a man. That's not allowed, dude. That's not allowed in feminist theory. Okay, let's keep going. Feminist framework.
All right.
All twisted up, right? No one is celebrating gender dysphoria. That's not what the celebration is. The celebration is treating gender dysphoria, and the treatment to gender dysphoria is gender affirmation. The celebration is not like, woo, you have gender dysphoria, how fun for you. The celebration is of recognizing what it is you're struggling with and then making steps to overcome that. And then
Well, yeah, he just did, though.
Yeah.
So essentially what you're saying is if you celebrate this particular treatment format for a mental health issue, that's okay. And it's not pushing people towards it, especially when you consider that gender dysphoria comes with, other mental health issues. You're not pushing people towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're by celebrating this particular treatment, because there are other treatments. And obviously he pursued a treatment that worked for him and might work for other individuals who want to not become, they are, for whatever reason, they no longer want to transition to be women. They would like to now go back to being men. Right? Okay. All right. So we
Yep.
can't celebrate that though.
All right. I got one more. 40 minutes.
Oh, geez. You mean all throughout this, she didn't say anything of worth?
I mean, a lot of her stuff is rambly and like she just sort of repeats herself. Like,
Does he ever say anything more about learning to love himself as a man?
there's a no, not really. I mean, I can go to his bit right here.
Yeah.
Dressed how I want to dress, been how I've always been in my life, and I didn't need to tag along this identity as a trans woman. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what I did. I grow my facial hair out now. I dress as a man, and I'm happy about it because I'm expressing myself truly.
that's kind of the whole point.
Well, okay.
So,
That-
okay. So, yeah, he basically says, look, I didn't. Essentially, he's saying, I just stopped pretending to be
Mhm.
something I'm not. And now I'm
Mhm.
just going to be me. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And she's saying, well, that's the whole point. Like, you can be a trans. You basically, according to queer theory, you can dress however you like. You can be a man in a dress and still say you're a cis man. Like the way that, and you can be a woman like wearing like a fucking, military tactical armor and say you're still a woman, like a cisgendered feminine woman. So essentially it is the, I don't know, like it's like eliminating all categories completely.
Mhm.
And of course, nobody says you have to live in some kind of box. That's a bullshit premise that a lot of these queer theorists even bring up. Oh, you're in the man box, you're doing the man thing. It's like, no, like there's always been wiggle room and there will always be wiggle room. You guys didn't invent it, but they act like they did. And so this is them sort of reinforcing it. Like he's saying, I want to live however I want. And she's like, well, that was our idea.
Yeah.
So
Controlling the brand. Controlling damage to the brand. Okay. I'm
or like
actually
taking
interested.
ownership of things that they didn't own. So
Find the next thing that he says, maybe.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
of man and woman, which you've just said hurt you.
All right. Yes, but here's the thing. As a trans woman, you encourage him to integrate your boxes. Right? Okay, well, if he's saying, oh, that hurt me, maybe he's talking about the feminist boxes, which is woman is victim, man is oppressor. Because you're not getting rid of boxes, lady. You just demonstrated at length that you have constructed a new box, which is women as victim. Maybe that's what he didn't like. All right, I apologize.
Condition of the brain. You don't cure it with a boob job or bottom surgery. You don't cure it with gender affirming care, which is a disgusting way to put sterilization and harmful hormone usage. And a lot of people ask me, are you still taking hormones? Are you gonna, I never did. That's what I want to make it clear and make it known to so many people, is that I never took hormones because I always held on to a little shred of truth that was, maybe I'll come out of it.
Oh good Lord. Thank God you
You
did.
dodged the bullet. Yeah.
Like, honestly, yeah. And the fact is, you call it gender affirming care, no offense, you are sterilizing people. And you
Yeah,
are,
it's chemical castration. There's
yeah,
nothing offensive about stating the truth.
yeah. So
Even
it's
people
like,
who
this
actually
is,
go through it must, on some level, know what they're doing to themselves. So,
and why would you encourage this for trans women if there's like their physical bodies don't make them women, just the experience of victimhood makes them women? Like, if that's your qualification, they don't have to go through gender affirming care. Their only gender affirming care that they need is to feel like a victim. Well, many of them already got that. So, congratulations, you're a woman, according to feminists. Like,
yeah.
all right, you skip it to the whatever last time code you wanted to put it to.
All right, let me see. Yeah, 2432.
Okay, here we go. 2432.
Yeah, being like, you can be a man and wear dresses. You can be a man and do your makeup. You can do whatever you want and identify how
Just can't be a victim.
You can be a trans woman, dress like a man, right? Like, it is about who you are.
But if you're not
how you feel.
perceived as being a woman, you're not, you can't understand what it is to be a woman because you don't experience patriarchal oppression. Like, there's,
Well, you do if you're identifying as a woman, but once you stop identifying as a woman, then you no longer do. Then you are the patriarchy.
this, like, this is so insanely arbitrary. Like, this is has such a lack
By
of any
design.
kind of intellectual grounding. Like, if you appear to be a woman, or if you identify as a woman, and you even appear to be a man, and you experience oppression, then you're a woman. But the moment you look like a man and you experience life like a man and you identify as a man, you start to be part of the patriarchy and you experience being an oppressor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dress yourself and present. The gender boxes and gender norms are a conservative value. Thus,
Oh, really? Really? Okay, wait.
Serving.
You have made it very clear that you have gender boxes. And your gender boxes are: women are how men act on them, and men are how they act on women, except it's always bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't give me that shit-eating grin there, lady. You know you're full of shit saying this. Conservative. If anything, the problem that you have with conservative gender roles is they're too relaxed. They can allow for the idea that women act and men are acted upon. You can't handle it. When men and women must occupy completely different states of existence. But while men and women occupy completely different states of existence, women are some kind of mineral, men are some kind of animal, you know, it is extremely easy to switch between the two.
Yes.
Why don't you just become a human being, lady?
It's asking too much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
That's it. Okay. All right.
like, basically, guys, if you believe that there are two sexes, guess what? You're a conservative. Are you guys ready to destigmatize that term yet? Okay.
I think
Are
it
we
is.
ready to do that? Because they're just gonna keep using it, and you just gotta, like, let them. Just be like, I don't give a fuck. It's like being
Yeah,
called
sure.
a sexist. You have to be like, I don't care. I'm sexist. Then I'm just trying to get to the truth. Call it whatever you want.
Yes.
So
I think the way that they're using the term conservative, it loses all its meaning, to be frank.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't let them play the name game. If they're constantly allowing them to play whack-a-mole with names, then you are not going to get anything done. So 100%, I don't deny the conservative label because these idiots are calling me it. I'm saying conservative is its own thing, and I am another thing. Right. And I'm not
sure.
saying that either of those two things are better or worse than each other. And in fact, they are both vital for any kind of advanced thought. Okay. But I'm this role, conservatives are this role. Neither are, in my opinion, should be stigmatized. And I recognize that the people who call themselves liberal and left, they don't demonstrate the open-mindedness, the self-doubt and introspection, and all of the other stuff that used to be associated with the term, right? They don't want to occupy that at all. They've just turned everything into tribalism, intellectual tribalism, which is not conservative and it's not liberal. It's just intellectual tribalism.
Yeah.
And no, I don't like, I mean, I get called conservative. I'm like, yeah, I guess. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to run around proving I'm not a conservative, because it's just like calling me like, oh, you are a French speaker. Well, not really, but I'm not going to be upset. You think I can speak French? Well, maybe a little bit. I'll be a little bit upset. I mean, use a different language. Oh, you speak Swahili. I'm like, well, I don't, but I'm not upset that you're saying that I speak Swahili.
Right.
All right. Okay. But anyway, I take your point. Like, you're absolutely right. You can't let these people play the whack-a-mole game with names. And then you're constantly running away from them running away from them labeling you something. It's like they don't even have the right to label people these labels, because they are, in effect, a supremacist eugenicist ideology that has gotten away with it for years. They've gotten away with massive ethical breaches in their academic frameworks for years. And you can see it right here in what she's doing. She says, oh, conservatives think there's a gender binary. We just think that you become a woman by experiencing oppression. And if you're a man, you become a man by being an oppressor. Like that. What is that? That is a gender binary. And not only is it a gender binary, it's like you look at the conservative gender binary of gender complementarianism, that men and women work together to make a world worth living in, and men and women have different strengths and different weaknesses, and they complement each other and they rely on each other, and love comes out of that. And you look at that and you're like, oh my God. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, that's not the truth at all. The truth is that women are only ever beaten and raped by men. And that's what men want to do, to keep us down. And men are only ever the most horrible they could ever be to women, ever. Because they just want to be oppressors. Oh, but they don't really want to be, because truly, I don't want to say that it's necessarily something they've chosen. It's just an unconscious reflex from their, well, I can't say biology, but just a socialization that we can't identify anywhere, but exists everywhere men are. Okay, it's just a reflex that they do, that they're so evil. And that's the gender binary that you really twig on, huh? And then you have the audacity to turn around and throw shade on the conservative complementarian gender binary. Why? Because it's so life-affirming and humanistic and kind and gentle and empathic and actually respects both parties? Like, seriously. Okay. I think I'm done. I think this sort of was, it was presumptively about detransitioning, but I think it ended up being about Rainbow Bright's version of gender binaries and how it's utterly morally bankrupt. And then she has the audacity to fart in the general direction of the conservative complementarianism gender binary. Jesus Christ. It's like Satan coming out of a sulfurous crack and then complaining about somebody, a redhead wearing pink with red hair.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might have fallen flat. Who knows? You didn't send your library books back on time. You're so much worse than me. Just imagine that, like Satan, like the horrific image of Satan from like the medieval, just coming out of a sulfurous crack and then telling you about how you didn't return your library books or your videotapes.
That's probably what is going to get me sent to hell. Some library book that I never returned.
Exactly.
Yeah, probably.
Oh
Some How to
man.
Draw book by Ed Emberley. Anyway, yeah, so I'm done. I'm hungry. I gotta go
Yeah,
pick
me
up food.
too. I am equally hungry, or maybe not equally. I can't say that because I don't have experience of being Brian and a man being
No,
hungry.
yeah, I won't make any claims either way. I just know I haven't really eaten at all today. So
Yeah. All right. So if you like this, please help the show at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Oh wait, actually no, feedthebadger.com/support is where you support the show. You can be part of our Discord adventure, no, community, badgernation.online. And if you want to send a comment, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very much appreciated. Those comments enter our comment system, which keeps them in a place where we can cogitate upon them at length. So that's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And yeah, so I'll hand it back to you, Brian, because I'm done.
okay, well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame. And we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's right activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.